Hey guys, so today is a special day. I finally get to try this gear, namely this brush. Many of you may recognize this as a declaration brush, declaration handle, and this is a B1. These are hard to find. I just kind of lucked out. I didn't actually ever think I would get one. The other gear is the Taiga that I've been using the last couple of shaves from Homelike shaving. I am using a Gillette Platinum in it. I've just used an acid in it so far, so let's branch out and see what happens. And then Stirling is celebrating 10 years this month in January 2022, and so I wanted to use Stirling, and this is one of the new seasonals that they released on Black Friday type time frame, and I really have enjoyed wearing this scent. I bought the cologne as well because it sounded really promising. Haven't actually tried the soap yet. But Stirling just represents tremendous value and quality for our shaving hobby. Affordable quality. I could easily spend the rest of my life just shaving with Stirling soaps. The quality is tremendous, especially that mutton base, but even the beef tallow base is no slouch. It's a very, very good base, and then you don't even have to add for the value because it's just good by itself, and then it costs half as much as other soaps out there that definitely don't perform twice as good. I've had this guy soaking for kind of an average amount of time, several minutes, maybe 10. All right. So Oro Valley, I know this is one that I'm going to keep, and so I'm not going to scoop this guy. We're just going to brush load him. Outdoors, a light burning type of scent, a light smoky maybe, and then woodiness. And there's something else in there to kind of balance it out. I don't quite know what it is though. You can look at the description of the scent. I'll paste it in the description of the video if you're curious. Very wearable, doesn't annoy me, doesn't, when I said annoy me, I mean, you notice how sometimes something will smell good at first, and then after you've had it on for an hour, you're tired of smelling it. Well, not this guy. So the Platinum does not have very many uses on it. This razor, I've had a chance to try it a couple times now. It seems like the lowest setting that I can set it on, the 1.5, is a setting that I could enjoy shaving with it daily. Comfortable, close cutting. I wouldn't necessarily call it smooth. Let's see, I have to line up the little dots, on the end there. Make sure you have that on the right side. My eyes are a little heavy today. It's 6:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. Previously I worked all night. I had stuff to do. Didn't get any sleep yesterday. And so when the day before yesterday evening, then last night when it came time to sit down and watch a movie with my kids, I watched about 2 minutes of it and then was gone. And so there's not a peep out of me until 6 o'clock this morning, and I'm wondering where I am. All right, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to set it to a 2.5, because I've established that the 1.5 setting is a good one for me to use as a general rule. What I'm going to try to look for now is there ever a need for me to go higher? Will I get a good shave? I'll probably get a good shave, but the question is, will it be comfortable if I go higher? So that's why we're setting it that way. today is Agar from Stirling. It's a good one. Very flexible. Goes with many, many scents. Matter of fact, there's some scents like lavender. Or what did I do the other day? Maybe the Barrister Man Petrichor. It makes those scents shine because it adds something really cool to those scents. All right, so 30-second load. Probably doesn't need that. 25-second load. Let's try that. Shake a lot of the droplets out. This is a big knot. I think it's a 28, so it's got water in there. All right, so let's load it up. I've got a new camera mount. I'm going to miss the ability to pan you down quite so easy. 25 seconds. There we go. We'll go to 35, and then that will make up a 25-second load. Definitely delivered a little bit of water into the soap right away. Shouldn't be too much. Shouldn't get in the way of absorption. And there we go. All right, so let's start working this guy up. I've never used this handle before. It's quite thick, but it's kind of on the chubby side. It's short and fat. Now, a couple of years ago during austere August, or, oh no, it was during the Lather games, one of the prizes was actually a B1 or a B2 brush. So, as I researched whether I would like a B1 or a B2, I didn't think I would actually win, but you do have to kind of make the decision anyway as which one you'd have. I did a little bit of research into the batches, and it looked like B1 had more backbone, and B2 in general did not. So it sounded like B2 was going to be the way I should go. In a similar fashion, I never thought I would get a B2. So when this B1 became available, I jumped on it. Because number one, I'll be able to try out this legendary brush. Number two, if it happens to follow the research that I did and maybe be a little bit too much backbone for me, then maybe I could, it is something I could potentially trade for a B2. Maybe. So we'll see. So it's great to be able to try it out. I can feel the backbone as I'm working it here in the bowl. It's not easy to splay. It is gradually opening up a little bit as the lather gets in there, but I'm sure the tips are going to be soft. They had some curl to them, kind of some thickness to them, but it definitely looks like it's going to have, and it's got lots of hair. It's got lots of density to it. And so that no doubt is what's contributing to the backbone. But I guess, you know, B1, I haven't looked into the history of it. You know, surely that's got to be kind of the start of Scott's hand tying efforts. And he's just famous for shaving brushes now. If you don't know anything about declaration knots, they go by B numbers, batch numbers. Currently, I believe we're on 14. And each batch often has similar characteristics, and so if you find that a certain batch matches what you like, then that means you can kind of shop for that one and trade or buy if you ever see it online. If you go to Declaration Grooming site, oh, that's a pretty lather with that shine. If you go to their site, you can be rewarded and then have your dreams crushed, because every time I've ever been, all of his brushes that he shows on his website are sold out because they're so in demand that they sell out super quickly. Now, since this is a high density brush, probably a lot of backbone, I'm not going to add much more water than that, but that actually might be just perfect. It's gorgeous. It is very hydrated, nice and fluid. All right, give it a shot. The razor's loaded up. Forgot to get my face wet. Dealing with 1.5, 1.5 days of growth right now. And let us see how the B1 does. Oh man, tons of density. I'm not pressing very much on my face, and it is just barely moving. Now the tips do seem to be soft. And so there's that. But this guy is not splaying easily. He may actually have a lot of resident water inside him, even still, that because see, he didn't want to flex very much during lather building, and so that may mean that I wasn't able to, or it means that you're going to be, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to try to get to that water as you're mixing up the soap and creating the lather. And this is a good example of how just because something may have kind of legendary status in our hobby, it may not be a match for you, right? You can save up all your money. I've seen for $1,500 the original kind of Lasco BBS1 razors, you know, that kind of started off with the Wolfman and Lasco working together. And you can see they're so rare that people are paying crazy amounts of money for them. But I happen to, my research indicates that that would be a razor that would be way too aggressive for me. And so just because it's rare, just because it's prized by a lot of people out there, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be enjoyable for you in our little hobby here. Yeah, this is just crazy dense. It's difficult to splay. Now it's getting the job done. The chubby handle here, unfortunately the difficulty in splaying means that you have to, if you want to try to splay it, then you're forced to really try to get a death grip on the handle and as you work it, and it definitely requires more effort than most other brushes. Now, some guys like this kind of scrub. They like this, that they have to put this much, you know, pressure on a brush. Now, before I have a feeling I'll have to trade this guy because I just, it's just not for me. I like easier splay than this. So I'll see if I can find a B2 to trade with. But one thing I'll do before I do that is I'll do the face lathering with it, because I think a lot of the guys who may gravitate toward this brush might be kind of overloading face latherers, you know. And we'll see if somehow it excels, or it puts a nice light on that particular method as opposed to bowl lathering. A bowl lathering kind of overhydrator is kind of what I am. And a lot of those guys are face lathering underhydrators. All right. So this a brush with this much density could favor one type over the other. You know, I can see that. All right, 2.5 is the setting. I'm going to remember that this razor has the arc seems to be more shallow with the way it puts it on the blade, and so I've had to use an angle here that's more open, which results in a smaller blade angle. I think I came at it with my normal or a normal, 30, 35 degree angle in the first shot when I used it for the first time, and that was a lot of blade feel, a lot of aggression and tugginess there. But yeah, there we go, it's working better here. And the platinum is moving through the hair nicely. It is giving kind of a shaving sensation, but there's no tugging at all. It's actually a nice feel of the hairs being taken away. This is sometimes called, riding the cap. And it might technically be doing that. But I don't know. I really think that with the angle I'm using, I think I'm actually still on the solid bar. It's just that this razor to ride in a balanced way means a more open handle angle, just because of the way it was configured. Now, seems like I'm getting a good bit of comfort here. I don't feel any tugging, or I don't feel like any nicks or weepers have been created. But it does seem like the kind of shave that I could end up at the end of the shave with kind of some stealth irritation because of this. And this is just the 2.5 setting. It's almost in the middle ground. Let's touch up the bottom here before I forget to do that properly. All right, water. Guys, that was a very efficient shave. I believe I could just walk away, and I didn't even try to do that. Right now, high comfort, no irritation. How about that? I believe I could walk away. I don't really see any use in going to past two passes. Well, the display here is not easy, but the tips kind of make up for it a little bit. So if I had to use this brush because I was stranded with it somewhere, I think I'd get used to it enough. All right, cross grain. razor has excellent blade support. From the bottom, of course, on the top, but the bottom comes pretty much the same right up to the edge like the top does. And there we go. Huh. That's just a really close shave. So this, oh, got a little bit to go right there. That'll do nicely. My first couple of uses of this razor led me to the impression that it's going to be a good one for people who like an adjustable with a good selection, a good many choices that are on the aggressive end of the spectrum, and that holds true. After this shave as well, I don't want to do a third pass. I got a feeling I might generate some irritation if I did. Well, now that the shave is done, let's take a little closer look at the brush. Yeah, you can just feel. Now, you see it doesn't spring back completely, and that's good. It has a little bit of give, and to me that's a redeeming quality. But the tips are nice and soft. They don't seem to be very treated. They don't seem to be jelly very much. You know, they still have a little bit of structure to them, but it does translate into a very, very soft brush. How about that? Just tons of hairs here. And there's no give. There's just so much strength in there. So this is a handle shape that and size that's not very ergonomic for me. And the backbone of the brush requires, to get the feel I want on my face, it requires me to really have to kind of work it hard, and the shape of the handle doesn't do me any favors there. Now you can see how the brush has that give I was talking about, you know, where it doesn't always snap back to exactly, you know, where it was, but and so I got a feeling if this was just a little bit less dense, I might really like it. I mean, it's just crazy dense there. So many bristles. And I think it's a really nice level of treatment on the tips with the bleaching agent or whatever was used. I think that's a really good treatment. I think it definitely doesn't feel spongy. It doesn't feel artificially soft. You do feel like it's still kind of a natural softness feel to the hair tips. So I think that's a really well done thing. The B1, the ubiquitous B1. Now, when you use a lather that's less dry, maybe if we get a thicker material, that thicker lather that would come as a result of that, between these bristles, will that make this brush act differently in a favorable way for me? Will that give it more movement? Will that, in essence, cause it to be less dense as the lather takes up some space between the bristles? I'll have to try that out. So the Oro Valley was a medium scent, 4 to 5 in scent strength for me as I was using it. Very enjoyable. So let's do the balm. A little bit of water on my face. Yeah, still no irritation, so that's good. But I only did 2 passes. I enjoy shaving. I enjoy the brush on my face and all that stuff. And so I want to do my 3 passes. Yeah, agar does seem to work very well with the Oro Valley. How much water did I use up? 25 seconds of loading gave me pretty much just the right amount of lather. I didn't have way too much, but I also didn't have it skimpy. So that worked out. 15 milliliters, kind of an average amount sometimes. The platinum and the razor seem like a very, very good combination. Work together nicely, very well. And it's pretty young. I think it only has 6 uses on it, roughly. Now the burned scent on that Oro Valley is less maybe like a burned scent and more like almost like a dry scent. I think whatever it does a great job of communicating an arid environment. I think that's really cool. I just have been really enjoying the cologne and the soap. It's right along the same vein. So it was a good shave today. I could use that anytime. Now at the end of my last video, I think is when I mentioned that there might have been an issue with me not getting close enough shaves, not getting smooth enough shaves, because I may have done something with the razor. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. As I reassemble it here, okay, so it's all locked down. There was a period when I had the blade in it, that when I moved the adjustment knob, it had a little bit of give to it. And that's because when the top cap is not in, see, it has these rails that go down kind of deep. You know, most other razors don't have them that long. The rails that go down into these slots, well, they have to be long because look, those rails are what keep this thing aligned. And that's also why they had to put the little dash marker on both plates. Now this thing will disassemble. If you turn this to the right, the handle will come off. They had to thread it crossways because that way it doesn't, get loose when you're trying to tighten and untighten the main mechanism there. And then this further will come apart. I'm sure I haven't done it yet. I bet it's just I bet if you just keep undoing the knob here, yeah, it's kind of infinite. It keeps on going. So those are the kind of parts we're looking at. I'm getting my lighting, I'm sure. I'm sorry that it doesn't give you a great view there. There's a spring in there too, and I don't really want everything to kind of spring loose. So this is backwards threaded as well. See, if I squeeze it, you can see the threading in there. And so just, this doesn't have to be tight because this is, after all, the adjustment knob. I love the fact they made it so it could be disassembled like this. I really wish that it wasn't as aggressive as it is at anything above like 2.5 or 2, it would give, I'm trying to screw in the bottom and there's nothing, the top cap's not in it to receive that. But yeah, I wish it was a more dynamic range that I could enjoy, where I could choose a 2 or a 3 instead of just being stuck down at the 1.5. Maybe the 2 would work for me as well, but I got a feeling that the 2 would mean that I would just be doing 2 passes anyway. I mean, I guess in this case, for me and my preferences, there is such thing as a too efficient razor, a razor that does its job too well. So because there was a little bit of movement right there, and so I thought that maybe that the bottom plate that's under the blade here and the base plate, the safety bar plate here, weren't as close as they should be. But now that I look at it, I realize that's not the case. So I mean, I'm really impressed with the workmanship here. The design seems terrific. The way everything is kind of simple. It's a nice razor. And for you guys who like aggressive settings, then this seems to be the razor for you. I think that is all we have. The agar is working very nicely with the Oro Valley. Great matchup. And this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I'm pooped. I'm going to go take a nap, even though it's early morning. Light's coming in. Have a good day. Take care.